doing a live video in my bed, not feeling too well. But this is impromptu because I've read something and watched something on YouTube, and I didn't know this was going on. I'm not very political, and I don't typically talk about political stuff. Um, but lately I have been because it seems to be affecting my life and involves me and people I know and people who are personal to me, very close to me. Um, So also, I'm on Blue Sky if you want to join in there. A lot of my posts are there. I do post um, my thoughts on what's going on around the world, not just tech. Um, Mostly because, I just can't stay quiet about it. There's just too much stuff going on in the world. And I try to leave that out of the conversation in YouTube because this is more of a tech channel, tech thing. Um, the problem is right now, Uh, the topic of discussion I wanted to bring up is just restrictive laws. Um, right now, specifically, I learned that there's discussion with the Supreme Court that um, they are trying to restrict gender affirming care uh, for minors. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a good thing, right? Like, oh yeah, kids, they don't uh, they change their mind all the time. How are you sure they're, sure about this one thing that can affect their lives going forward? And, you know, they're too young to have informed consent. Well, they have parents, right? Their parents should know. They know their kids the best. That's how, the way I see it. Um, if you think your kid this is just something they're going to forget about, then fine, it's just like say no. Again, it all depends on their age, right? If they're 5 to maybe about 7, you don't need puberty blockers or anything like that, right? They're not even at puberty age. So what you would do is say, okay, fine, let you play with, and be yourself. If you're a boy and you think you're a girl, go ahead and wear girl clothes and play with the girl toys or whatever, and just go from there and just socially see if that's what they want. And if they change their mind later, no harm, no foul, right? Um, and if they're in their, you know, prepubescent age, just as they're going into puberty, that's when you want blockers, right? And there's where the lawmakers are trying to say, oh, um, we don't want to give them that until they're an adult, which is 18, which is way past their puberty age, which can cause issues. Can you guys hear my phone? I don't know what's going on with my. Hi, guys. Anyways, um, so that's my view. And that's why I don't want, I think that is wrong to have a law that's restrictive like that. Again, as a parent, you have that decision to make, right? Not your child. So it's not just a child making that decision. Uh, and when you're talking about child, you have to think about what their age is, what's age appropriate. Um, as a teenager, they actually probably have given more thought about it than you have. So, and they know it's life changing going forward. And as a parent, you should have that kind of conversation with them. Um, Once they hit like 12, like 11, 12, 13, 14. all the way up to 18, right? And if you're really that sure, at minimum, all blockers do is just block puberty. It doesn't, that's still not hormones. You're not changing their hormones or anything. All it does is just delays it so they have a little bit more runtime to think about what they are going to do. And you can have, talk to a therapist or anything like that to figure it out. Is that really what you want? So, what I'm trying to say is, it's not like a willy nilly snap your finger and you change. It's not. There's a lot of gatekeeping, a lot of steps before that happens that a lot of people who are making these laws don't realize. You know what I mean? And so, why are you making laws? And again, I'm not into politics, but this is the kind of shit that pisses me off. It's the same for abortion, right? You don't know what the situation is. Why do you have a law that says, no, you can't have an abortion after X amount of time or whatever? It's not up to you, it's up to the person. And that's the same why I even got into this kind of stuff, even though it's not tech related. It is tech related because back in the day, remember SOPA and all those other things that they were trying to do with the DNS naming convention? They don't know jack shit about computers. They don't know jack shit about the internet and how it works. And yet, stop child, pornography or whatever. That's a great way to like put it and to make it look and sound good to people who don't know what the hell they're talking about. But when you peel back the onion and see how do you do that, and they were proposing, you know, being able to change the domain name system, that's the fundamental way of how the internet works and how we trust the internet. If you're able to do that, how can we ever trust the internet? That's how malicious actor work and attack your internet, right? They can redirect your banking. If you go to like citibank.com or bankofamerica.com and it redirects it to a completely different IP address that has the same look and page. That's how man in the middle attacks work, right? Do you guys know about that? If you're not, now you do. And if you are in the tech, you already know that. So if you're already in tech, you would know those laws that they were trying to propose, those acts, is is the antithesis of how the internet works and should work. And so these kind of laws that prevent, you know, that restrict people, you know, from their own personal bodies, I don't get it. And before people say, oh yeah, but it's the same as like, beers and drugs and marijuana. No, that's not the same at all. It is, those products harm people, right? Universally. You can't make an argument that say, well, you know what? I'm giving consent to my kid to drink beer at 5 because I don't see the harm in it. But there's studies that there are, universally. As far as puberty blockers and, socially transitioning, when we say socially, we mean that's not drugs, there's no surgeries going on. We're just saying, oh, you think you're a boy or you think you're a girl? Go ahead and play with boy or girl toys without anything else. Dress up as whoever you want, go out in the world, present as however you want. And if you're still comfortable with it years later, then we are sure that's who you really are, that you're not lying about it and you're not going to change your mind. All this before blockers or hormones are entered into the picture. And the reason why that's important is because if you wait too long and puberty hits, blockers are too late. Now you have to go through surgery if you are really sure, which at that point you probably are, but the law says you couldn't take it until then. And that can cause, mental stress, social, societal stress, um, all that stuff. And in the case of abortions, that could lead to death, as you guys have already known, because there were cases of that happening already. And so, why would sounding like a person from the outside, saying, talking in, as you would call it, while I'm not? I'm sure a lot of you guys already suspected, and I never really wanted to come out to this because I want to see if I can pass, you know? How many people were, you know, how how well I can fly under the radar, but there were some comments that I noticed that already clocked me anyways. But yeah, I'm trans, okay? I I started taking hormones at 38. Uh, Wish I would have started earlier. I kind of had an inkling when I already knew I wanted to be a girl around, I want to say 6 or 7. My brother reminded me of that I was dressing up as a girl and I was hiding it, and he caught me. And then and I hid it because you got to remember this was in like like in the 90s, early 90s, and maybe even late 80s. And I am guys dressed as girls on in the media was frowned upon. They don't look right, and they were made fun of, and it's generally a negative thing. So why would I want to? Why would I want to do that in public? See, that's what hurts people, and you guys don't understand that, and that represses that kind of stuff, and it's embarrassing to admit this in public, and I can't believe I'm doing it. But yeah, you know what? We do need representation. It's time to not be quiet about it. I cross dressed up until that point. 20, I had to, when I was living on my own, I did a lot more in private. I was always a late bloomer, so I still sounded like a girl over the phone around that time. So that was kind of cool. Unfortunately, sometimes I have to correct people when I have to give out real private information like my name and everything, because then they would get confused. It would be embarrassing. So, but ordering pizzas and stuff, I can just order as with letting them thinking that I was a girl, and then when I go pick up, I can just say, "Oh yeah, that was my girlfriend," or something like that. Um, but yeah, I wish I would have done it as late as in my 20s, because I lived on my own around that time in Silicon Valley. And then when the dot com bubble burst, I had to go back home. I couldn't afford living on my own in California. So I came back to my parents. Um, and of course, I can't cross dress there anymore. So I had to repress. And it's harder to hide. Um, so I just didn't do it. Asian family. So we kind of kept family stays together for a very long time. And I moved out at 35 when I finally got enough money to buy my own house where I'm at now. And it took 3 years to rediscover myself, my true self. And a lot of regret. Sorry, I didn't expect to cry. But yeah, that was a brief history of me, I guess, that you guys didn't know about. Um, so around in my 30s, and again, like I said, I'm a late bloomer. 20, I can still pass if I really, and I didn't have to try much. Um, but I never went out publicly, of course. It was only after I moved out, when I can rediscover myself, I noticed that I felt like I didn't pass anymore. I noticed things that I just really felt really dysphoric about. And if you don't know what dysphoria is, please just look it up. I don't really want to explain it here. But you've already probably heard the term by now. And that's when I decided to start looking into and, doing my research. Also, you have to remember the internet wasn't, that prevalent around the 90s, so I wasn't able to do research. In my 20s, I never thought to look it up, because again, internalized transphobia, which is, again, we have movies like Ace Ventura, and if you remember that scene, you know what I mean. And of course, Mrs. Doubtfire, and there's also, um, yeah, White Chicks. If you remember that one, the Damon brothers. So it was not even looked upon in a very serious manner, and so I didn't think it was a good idea. There's just no way. But in my 35s, when I was 35, there was a lot more resources. And I found out, their hormones help. It's not just all about surgeries. In fact, I may not even have to do surgeries, which is nice. Um, that's when I decided, yeah, that's what I needed. Sorry, that's my phone notification. And this is why I kind of wish I transitioned earlier. I wish there was more good media representation of trans people when I was younger. And I want that for our future generation. Sorry, phone is going off. Alright. I may have to go soon, but yeah, that's my perspective on of things. Laws should not be restrictive in this way, and this is also why good media representation of other races, other genders, you know, other sexual orientation is a good thing. It's a normal part of our society that's been hidden, and people who are saying, well, there wasn't a lot of trans people before, there weren't a lot of gay people before. Well, that's because they were in hiding, you know? And there are trans people who actually pass really well. You don't even know they're trans. You know what I mean? Because that was the whole point. We were, trans people were looked down upon. So, why, like, even me, I wasn't going to come out. If I pass, great. I'm not going to say shit. But the society has changed. They are there are a lot more representation, and there are a lot of people accepting it. They're out there now, and I say they because come on, oh my phone. Okay, I really have to go. But yeah, they're out there already. Unfortunately, the majority of the countries still don't support it. All I gotta say is look at us, not it's just as people, groups of people, people of color, LGBTQ, trans people. By the way, LGBTQ and trans, we're in the T, but a lot of people, when they see LGBT, they don't think of the T. They always think about just gay people. So just remember that even though if you want to separate us from the LGB, we're still a group of people that are being marginalized, that are not being represented in the real world. And we're now saying, hey, you know what? We have a few brave souls that came out. And right now it's being on the news and it's being on TV, it's being in mainstream media. I can't stay quiet. I gotta say something. So, okay, well, that's it. I'm seeing comments I was trying to ignore, but I want all the chat. Oh my goodness, you guys. Yeah, see, this is why we don't come out, right? There are some comments here that are not all that great, and some that are. So thank you very much. By the way, I appreciate that. Oh, something about my screen. The screen problem is still happening. I'm still waiting on Framework to respond back. They asked for a video. By the way, I think I told you guys this, right? The problem with their support is that they take forever to respond, and when they do, they ask for photo or video evidence. And if it's not an angle that they exactly want, they'll tell you exactly what they want, and then they will ask you to do it again. But it takes anywhere between 3 to 4 days, sometimes even a week before they respond back. So you're taking photos, you send it, or you make a video and you send the link. Then you wait like 3 or 4 days, or even sometimes up to a week, before they come back. It's like, oh yeah, wait, you know what? Can you take it at a different angle? And then they would take a picture of, like whatever the part is on their end and say, this is what we want. And then they would show an example of what they want. And then I have to do it again and send it over again and wait another 3 or 4 to even a week before they respond back to say, "Oh yeah, we'll send you the display again," or "Oh, can you take more pictures?" See, that's the frustrating part, right? Now, if they could do a chat where we can do everything in real time, it probably wouldn't be so bad. Or if they respond back within hours, so we could get things done, that wouldn't be so bad. But to say, "Oh yeah, we need more angles. We need to take a picture of the back. We need to, but every time they ask for a different angle or a different set of photos, it takes between 3 days to a week between each communication. That just drags the whole thing out. You know what I mean? So, like I said, the ticket got opened in August. Of course, this is a video, so you probably won't know, like in the future. August, think, okay, month 8. Right now it's December, month 12. 8, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 4 months now. Issue hasn't been resolved. 4 months is forever in computer years. Okay? We're almost halfway to the next generation. You know? It's time for an upgrade already in probably another 6 months. And realistically, most people don't upgrade every year. I'm just saying a new thing comes out every year. But I didn't get to enjoy my laptop and fully enjoy it until what, 6 months after I bought it for something that cost me $2,500, 2,500. That's bullshit. So yeah, so there's that too. So yeah, no, the screen still not fixed yet. All right, I know I kept saying I have to go, and right now I don't because the message. So I'm on call. It looks like it cleared, so I'm all good. All right, but I gotta go anyways. Bye.